now over in the IRC that's extremely helpful for figuring out our time. It only takes a minute, a couple seconds of your time. Not to mention in the future, Zach, for some of our more advanced classes, we should almost consider that as an entry-level test so that anyone who writes then and says, you made it impossible for non-Americans to join your class. And
a checkbox.
we could just always respond and say, well, you failed the intro. The entry exam. We're sorry.
I agree that I'm familiar with the concept of time zones, and I'm willing to convert from your local time to my local time.
But so yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick as well. So remember, this is a introduction class, okay? Though we are about to start doing some stuff. So let me go ahead and, Zach, if you wanted to kill off that part before I start the recording.
Yeah, I mean, oh, you know what? That's not the eraser.
No, it's not at all.
That looks smart. Like, you know what?
There were two C++ questions.
Did you answer them?
No. I was wondering if Jason would think. Will the C++ class be game-related?
That's not the plan at the entry level, the 101s, 102s. We'll kind of see where everybody's interest lies, because I'm sure we'll end up developing
we're going to teach you how to run Unreal Engine 6.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to develop a common student base just like we have with our other classes, ones that we know are going to be following along, and we'll just kind of get the general consensus of what people want, and we'll go in that direction. Don't you kind of agree with that?
Oh, no, I completely agree.
Okay.
And then is it going to be directed towards OpenGL and DirectX? And of course, based off the previous answer, we're not getting into OpenGL or DirectX with the first class or even second, or yeah.
Yeah, and just because I want to say this, hey Sparky says, say Jason, Zach, is there homework for this class? No, this is just a one-off thing. But if you're asking about the Unreal class, heck yeah, there's homework.
There'll be something. Once we kind of get a little bit more of the syllabus ironed out, then I can more clearly visualize exactly how we're going to handle the problem of homework. But yeah, there will be homework.
And hey, Sparky said, sweet.
He did too. He said sweet.
All right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to start recording back up, guys. So 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the introduction to UDK webinar. It's live class. This is part 2, and it is time for us to get in and do some stuff.
It is. Now, I'm going to throw this out real early on. One, if you're totally new to UDK and you want to follow along with what I'm doing, by all means, do so. There will be a couple of moments a little later on, especially once we get into adding our static meshes, where I'm not going to show each and every click on the screen. Because static meshes, and you'll learn this as we kind of move through, are kind of like decorations. They are what make your levels go from looking like little blocky 4 walls and a ceiling to having rich detail everywhere. And it can take many, many hours to add all of the appropriate static meshes to a level. We don't have many
and when
hours.
Zach showed me the level that he wanted to have everyone put together, I was like, say what?
Yeah, I kind of got a funny
this is an
look.
intro to UDK class. Where's just your typical box at, though? Show how to throw some static meshes in, a couple lights, and that is an introduction.
Let's see. I think this is the map.
But instead, Zach...
This could crash. If it crashes, let's just cheer. Yeah, okay.
While you're reopening that up, I will use this moment to answer Jake's question, which was one of the best ones I've seen yet. Are the live classes available for download to member sponsors?
Not download.
Not download, but they are all put into the streaming system.
Yeah, we love you, but we're not going to throw that stuff over download. It's kind of an incentive to keep people subscribed. You know how it is.
Well, so we can pay bills.
Yeah.
Pay servers.
Put bread on the table.
Do you want to go into a smaller view because you're
I want to kill the. All right, fine. So this is the level we're going to be creating. I'm going to kind of.
Just a real quick response. We just over in the IRC, I saw, we love you, but we don't trust you. No, not at all. We did the let everyone download everything, and it is we love you and we will screw you, because everything we released was always available on the web later that day. Everything.
We love you guys. It's just we know how stuff works. And really, here's the thing. It only takes one. Only one person has to share that stuff, you know? So here's the level that we're going to be putting together. It's the whole idea was kind of like an transmission station. So like if you've got this remote planet out in the middle of nowhere and it's maintaining its own little tiny biosphere, and it's transmitting that data out across the galaxy. That's kind of what I designed this to be. So it's got a little landing area, and you can go inside, and there's just some tanks and various things that people need for, running this place. There's a lift to get you between floors. There's a stairwell in case the lift isn't working, because, there could be a fire or something. We have a nice little balcony to overlook the plant-filled area. Which
that's my office outside, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, even more machines and tanks and things full of all kinds of pesticides and things. And then if we go down to the bottommost floor, oh my god, everything turns green and it's kind of scary. And then we can step outside and see all of the plant life and the sun rays coming through the trees, which I got to tell you, ever since they put that into UDK, I can't get enough of it. I can spend hours just looking at the sun and doing little ET coming through the trees thing. And for those of you who don't get that reference, I'm really sorry for you. So, yeah, this is pretty much the level I wanted to put together.
And yes, all of these things are available in UDK. Zach was very specific about that, and that's why we're also going to be starting off with just doing a little bit of BSP work to get our primary structure or framework for the level in place.
Right. Now, I am going to do this real quick. I'm going to fly way out here to kind of where we start and just hit play. And it says paths need to be rebuilt, but I'm not too worried about that. We can...
Whoa, do you guys hear that too?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys get computer audio?
I don't know.
So let me know in IRC if you can actually hear things right now.
Nope.
No, okay. That's fine. It should show up on the video. So anyway, there are sound effects playing for just about everything. And we can wander around here, and the lift will come up and get us. And then we can ride it back down. And everything turns green.
Haha, we are cheating you sounds.
Yes, we're cheating you sounds. Basically, it's just making me have to use the bathroom because it's a whole bunch of running water.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. And there's kind of a motor sound down here, and that's pretty much it. And then we can take the fire escape back up, and all the green fogginess goes away.
Suzanne said, "Where did you get my map?"
I don't know. So there we go. That's really all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. No, we can't make it to the roof with this design. We'd have to cheat and turn on like ghost mode or something.
Well, we've got so much to do. I guess we better go ahead and get a new scene up.
Yep, that's going to be the...
I can't leave my man Mohammed just hanging out there. He just said, create this level right now.
Okay, we're going to do our thing. So, file new. Now, here's the deal. If you're following along, you can use any one of these map templates you like. If you want to use a blank map, that's okay, but I wouldn't if you're just trying to follow along for the first time. We're actually going to make use of the fact that we've got some nice lighting setups by default, just because it's your first time here, and it will make things nice and pretty. I don't care which one of these you use. So if you like morning lighting, grab that, or night lighting, whatever. I'm going to use morning lighting. It's just cool.
Now, let me explain this real quick, because there's lots of questions coming in on the questions panel about this, and a few that are coming in from over there on Zach's left in the IRC. This, how long will this take to make? This does depend on your level of experience. What Zach is going to do is he's going to walk through building the framework for it. He's going to start putting in, and then from there we're going to go into static meshes. Well, after it's textured, static meshes. We're basically going to work our way through this, but when we get to a point like with static meshes, after some of the important ones are down, such as stairs and then the primary antenna structure, etc., then we're going to go ahead and load up a level that has all of our static meshes placed. Really, it will be up to you guys to spend time, picking out the static meshes that you like and getting those positioned. But by the time we jump over into the next iteration of the level, it'll save us, obviously, 30, 45 minutes to an hour of hunting through and selecting static meshes, but you'll know how to do it. And same thing goes for some of the Kismet sequences. The moment we have to start repeating ourselves, we'll just load up and we'll complete sequences that you need to see, but then when they're repeated, we'll just load it up, an iteration that already has that done. So you're going to pretty much see everything.
Yeah, you'll pretty much see everything out there.
So let's get hardcore!
All right. So, first off, when you create these new levels, you got some stuff that's kind of sitting here waiting for you. You have a static mesh for the ground that we're just going to delete. You have a static mesh for this box we're just going to delete. You have a light mass importance volume. This is important. We're going to delete that. We're going to create another one later before we really start doing a lot of rebuilding, but the one that they give us is too small to do much with, so we're just going to nuke that out. But we still get like the nice lighting setup, we get the big sphere for our sky, so this is actually kind of nice. One thing I do want to do first off, so I don't forget, because I will forget if I don't do it right now. You see this nice red line here visible in my side view? This is the kill line. If you dip down beneath this, or basically if you just kind of step through this,
beneath this line.
yeah, thank you. You're dead. You're gone. So what we're gonna do is go to View and open up World Properties. And if you expand all this stuff, if you look under Zone Info, you'll see Kill Z, which is currently set to 0.
Stands for kill Zach.
Yeah, set that to, thank you. Set that to like -1,000 or something, just to get it out of your way. The biggest reason is that at some point later today, we are going to be creating a terrain right about that altitude. And if that terrain dips down even at all, and we step into the dip, we die. So you don't want to do that.
No, Alex, he didn't die yet.
I didn't die yet.
My knife is just sticking out of his back.
It is. It's kind of, actually, it's helping a little. It hit a nice spot. I think I had a pinched nerve right there. Okay, so
Also, let me throw this out real quick. Daniel just asked a question. He said he just joined. Obviously missed a lot, even though this is just part 2. The first part was just an overview of the UI. So feel free to join in and follow if you'd like. The video will be up later on, and it'll be accessible for download in the lounge in the 3D Buzz forums. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is we still have questions flying by, and we really haven't done anything yet. Please feel free to ask one another over in the IRC. Everybody is in the #class or #class channel. So over in the class channel in the 3D Buzz IRC, ask questions. There's all sorts of awesome members over there that will be willing to help you out. This way we can try to actually get through this, which would be awesome.
All right, so speaking of getting through this, I'm going to go ahead and build the floors. The first thing I'm going to build is our building. And now we have an idea of what it is we're going to be putting together, and I want to make an aside to the audience just about good level design. Okay. Take a minute before you start working in UDK on your own, if you're not following a tutorial. Draw out what you think your
plan it.
Yeah, plan it, please. You don't have to be the world's best artist. Even the most basic floor plan will be enough to get you started. But give yourself something to work from. Don't just go, I think we're going to make an office building, and then we're going to make a baseball park. Draw it all out so you know what it is you're going to be building. It will make your life a whole lot easier.
Absolutely.
And, we still have, live preview, which is on by default. Let me go ahead and turn that off for everybody.
Thanks, Nelson.
Okay, so for starters, I'm going to make the floors of the building area. So I'm going to right-click on my brush cube settings over here. And let's go ahead and punch in some values. Now, I have a lot of magic numbers to play with today. You're just going to have to kind of cope with that. It's the only way we can get through this at any kind of fast rate. So I'm going to say 1280 by 1280 by 16.
Get those numbers. Wait, don't get those numbers.
Yeah, 1280 by 1280.
Give a little bit of pause just for people to see stuff, but you're going to have to keep up here. Otherwise, ask in the chat.
Actually, I can leave that up for a while. I don't really use this viewport that much. I can stick to one view for now.
Okay.
So that should make things a little easier. Once you have that in place, hit Control-A, and that should add this in, like so. Now, what we need to do is add in the other floors. If things are going well, we kind of want to be lined up with these major grid lines.
Kind of?
Yeah, we have kind of a... It's already we have a little bit of an issue.
Snapping.
We did already. We did mention that snapping is critical. But you'll notice that right now, because I am smaller... Well, I'm right at 16, but the center part of my red builder brush was kind of lined up on the grid. The vertices themselves are halfway in between, and I want these vertices to be right on the grid. Good news is all I have to do is right-click on one of these vertices, and I snap right over to the grid. So it says, where is the brush builder cube? Take a look on the left-hand side of the toolbox. You'll see the brushes panel, and there's your cube. Just right-click that bad boy, and that brings up the brush builder cube window for you. All right. Now I'm going to move this down underneath this major grid line right here at 0, 0, 0. If it's a little above or a little below, that's fine. I am not asking you guys to have exactly the same thing I do, though it'll probably help.
And Susan, you might want to, or Suzanne, you might want to turn off your caps lock. That might help you with some of the hotkeys, just in case you start having trouble.
And yes, if you do move this subtractive brush in any way, you're going to have to rebuild geometry. So you can just reach up here and just click Build Geometry. It should be a really fast process. Do not worry about building lighting. You don't have to worry about that right now. We're going to try to avoid building lighting until we absolutely have to do that. Now somebody said, do you see the origin in the side view? No, not really. The only thing that's important is that you have your brush kind of tucked underneath one of these major grid lines. Also be aware of my drag grid, which is currently set to 16. That's going to make things a lot easier. Now, I want 512 units between each of my floors. So from standing on one floor to standing on the next floor, I want there to be a 512 unit gap. So the easiest way to get that, or to know that you're staring at 512 units, is to measure it. If you click and drag with your middle mouse button, you get a measuring tool. So now you can see that there's our distance to 512. It would be right underneath this other major grid line. So I'll grab my red builder brush, and I can just slide it up. Now you'll notice my move tool is kind of over here off to the side, which is not particularly useful. If I right-click on one of these vertices again, not only does it snap into the grid, it brings my move tool over here as well, which I gotta admit I love that. We can drag this right up underneath this major dark grid line.
Is that one?
I think so. We can measure it again, though. That's the great thing about it. 512 units.
Sweet.
Like so. Once we have it positioned properly, we hit Control A and we get another brush. Now, in this view, it's hard to tell that anything happened. You will have to move your red builder brush and see that you did get another one. Then we're going to repeat the process. So let's go up another 512 units. And that gets us to this major grid line, which we'll just nudge right up to here. Whoop. Measure twice. Add once. Control A. And there we go. So we have 3 floors. We only need 1 more. And I'm going to guess it's going to be this one right about here. Yep, dead on. And we'll hit Control A. And now we have 4 floors.
And here's what I want to do right now.
Yeah.
So this is, you want everybody to get to right there, right?
Yeah, sure.
So just back away. Good, everybody can see it. Let's do this. For those of you that are following along, over in the webinar software, click the raise hand button. We're gonna use this to have some sort of acknowledgement.
Some sort of feedback.
Yeah, we're not going to wait on everyone, but when the bulk of the hands go down.
Yeah, so basically put your hand up if you're working on it, put your hand down if you're ready to move on.
Yeah. Well, let's let us... Oh, beautiful. Now we can...
Oh, look, you can sort by that.
Yes, you can.
That's amazing.
It is! Technology, I love it.
I love technology. So yeah, so you raise your hand while you're working on it. When you're done, when you're set to go, put your hand back down.
That's right. So if you're working on it, hand up. As soon as you have this done, come on, people, it's just 4 little...
It's 4 brushes.
It's 4 little boxes, come on.
Yeah, it's 4 little brushes.
So we'll give you just a couple of minutes, and what we'll do is we'll also pause video to keep our video times a little bit shorter. I also want to throw out now that the video is paused real quick. That's right, Miranda. We love technology. I saw some people a little stressed earlier about we have a class coming up this evening. Oh, dear heavens, what are we going to do? Don't worry. That class is going to go on time.
Yeah.
We've got, like, what, 4 hours? Lost my phone.
I don't know what time it is.
Hang on. It is 4:44. We've got over 4 hours.
Yeah, that's plenty of time to do it.
Plenty of time.
And if I got to speed things up, we can speed things up. I don't suppose we're going to speed things up.
Zach.
What?
So how did you snap the
Right-click a
VSD
vertex.
brush?
Right-click a vertex.
Right-click a vertex.
Uh-huh.
And which window?
It doesn't really matter. Preferably one of the orthogonal ones.
Probably one of the side views.
Yeah, side view would probably be ideal, but the top view will work just fine.
It's work. No, did it work? Yeah, it worked.
Of course it worked.
Oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping it would.
Hoping it wouldn't work, so we could just have Nelson out there going like,
I just wanted to say I love you, NATO. I did see your comment earlier when somebody said they couldn't tell the difference between our voices.
Yeah.
And it was like, Jason's the more manly side.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There you go.
Yeah, it's a compliment for Zach, too, so that's really well.
Absolutely.
Remember, put your hands down once you have your 4 floors. We're about to be starting here in just a second. Just about got everybody there.
Suzanne says, I can't find the graph.
The graph.
The graph.
The grid?
The grid? Like in the
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I was going to bring up. The 4-panel, I have the February build. The first time I launched it, it was not in 4 panels, even though it said it was. if you want to get those 4 panels, go to the View item on your menu bar, go down to Viewport Configuration, and just click again at 2x2 split. And although it was already selected on mine, I still only had the perspective view, but I clicked on that. And then
You sure it wasn't because that window was maximized?
That's a possibility, but I didn't. That was literally what I got when I launched the program for the first time.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you are needing to jump back over to the Move tool, remember, we do have those buttons across the top.
Let's go ahead and
or you
pause.
can tap the space bar.
All right, now we're about to be going forward, guys, so I'm going to put all hands down. And we're now resuming video. Okay, cool. So now most everyone is up to speed with us.
Yep. Now, we need to create some walls to surround this. Now, we could right-click on our brush builder cube and put in some new values and all that kind of stuff, but let's do something a little more fun. What I'm going to do is grab the red builder brush and kind of drag it off to the side, and we're going to rotate it. So I'm going to tap the spacebar, and we get this really cool rotation widget. And if I just click and drag on this, I can flip this around to 90 degrees.
I love that widget. That's so cool.
I actually kind of wish more 3D apps had one just like that.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm flying or something.
Yeah, it's nifty. All right, now we're going to take this and align it to the topmost floor, the topmost panel that we've built. Just keep in mind, if you're zoomed in really far, you might not realize which one you're looking at. Take a moment to back up and realize you're actually looking at the top. And I'm just going to butt this right up against, like so.
And make sure you're doing this in the side viewport, not in a top viewport. Or
yeah,
since we're doing the side of the...
Right. If you choose a different viewport, your mileage may vary slightly.
Exactly.
Which is fine. Okay, now, check it out. You'll notice that our red builder brush is still a little short. Our walls don't go all the way down, which is kind of annoying. So what we're going to do is switch over to geometry mode.
But
Right.
Major Manic just said that's a little advanced.
And no, it's fine. Well, let's do it. We're good. This is really easy. Make sure you have your red builder brush selected. Click on geometry mode. Don't click on anything else. Leave everything else in this window alone.
That's right, because it's a little advanced.
Because it's a little advanced. Now, hold down Control and Alt together. So that's Control and Alt. And drag a little marquee selection box around those bottommost vertices.
Control, Alt. Drag out box.
Control, Alt, but do not press Delete. I wish I've done it.
Yes.
And then we'll drag this all the way down until it's flush with the very bottommost panel. Very easy. As soon as you've done that, go ahead and get out of geometry mode for a minute. We're going back, but just to make sure you don't accidentally bump something you didn't need to. And if we take a look, our wall, or our red builder brush, runs right down the side of our building.
I feel like we're building a real building.
Just starting with the floors first, which is really cool.
Beautiful sun. It's like we're on a construction site.
I know, but it's like the coolest construction site ever with zero gravity. Okay, now we're going to do something a little fancy because I want all of my walls to fit flushly together, just kind of snap together very nicely. In the top viewport, I'm going to zoom into either side. It doesn't matter which side you do, but I'm going to do the right-hand side.
The cool side.
The cool side. We're going to go back into geometry mode for just a moment. Again, don't click on anything in here. Drag another marquee selection box. Again, Control-Alt around both of these vertices and move them out one grid space, which, notice, my drag grid is set to 16, so that's 16 Unreal units. I just moved that over. If you had a drag grid of 2, you need to move it 8 units, obviously. I'm holding Control. I'm holding Alt. All I get is a box select. That's what you should be getting.
Are you in geometry mode so that you can select the vertices?
Yeah, if you can do this in any mode that you like, and it'll just select brushes and whatnot. But you got to make sure that you're in geometry mode with a brush selected. So make sure you select the red builder brush, and then you should be able to select those vertices.
Yeah.
And that should make everybody happy. Okay, so now, by overlapping just by one little extra 16-unit grid space, we can make all of our walls snap together nice and cleanly. So once that's in, let's hit Control-A, and that'll create our first wall, which we can see over here in our perspective view. Pretty cool. I'll fly over here because that'll make the other walls a little easier to see, and just kind of enjoy those sun rays coming through because it's amazing. Now, our next wall, I'm just going to move the red builder brush. Actually, I'm going to cheat. I don't want to rotate it right now. We're just going to move it down underneath, but I'm going to make sure that it's flush with the right-hand side. Not hanging over by one, but flush, like so. And hit Control-A again.
gym has walls.
Awesome.
Yes. And you have kind of like a dollhouse kind of thing going on. Now, take your red builder brush, tap the spacebar, rotate it by 90 degrees. And you should be able to make it quickly just flush right in here. So you notice if I just flush it right up against.
Got lucky.
Yeah, I did. I know what I'm doing.
You look like you know what you're doing.
And then you see that click in like so. Everybody's happy. Go ahead and hit Control A once more. And last one, we're just going to move it right over to the other side. And we'll just flush it right up against the bottom. Control A. And there we go.
There we go. Now, this is a perfect time to everybody throw your hands up that are following along, and we'll let the majority of you guys get through. And once that happens, we'll move on to the next part.
In the meantime, we're going to pause the video. Pause.
All right, and I'm going to drink some coffee. And for those of you that hate hearing me make fun of Zach, now is a perfect time to disconnect.
Does that mean I can go ahead and disconnect?
And that wraps up today's lesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
But the video.
Yes, you have a perfect building that nobody can get into or out of.
Yeah, it's a layered box, as RT says.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Look at Iron Soul. He's just full of excitement.
Yeah, everybody's yelling.
Yeah, I love it. Everybody's all finally getting into it. It's a, it's an intro class. You got to get through the UI.
Oh yeah, if I mean I should say this while the video's on, but that's okay since we're here. If things need to be moved, like if you add a brush and you have to bump it around, nudge it, or anything, just remember to build geometry. You don't have to build lighting and all that. That takes forever. Just build geometry. You'll be fine.
Epic cube.
All right, so I think we're pretty much ready to move on.
Well, let's one more hand. All right, who's going to be the person to give us one more? Oh, no, I didn't say put a hand up. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we can let's.
I think people forget. Okay, so we're back, and we have our impenetrable box, of course. Now, the next thing I want to do is create our central shaft inside of here. Basically, a great big hole in the two middle floors.
That's right.
So that we can have a great big antenna.
The central shaft.
Yeah, that's right. So to do this, we need our red builder brush with some numbers. I'm going to right-click once again. Well, I guess I don't have to. We've got our brush builder cube window just kind of sitting here waiting for inputs, so we can just use that. We're going to go with 512 by 512 by 16. And you might have noticed a pattern here. I'm basically going to try to always use brushes that are divisible by 16 in some way. It just makes snapping so much easier. And let me back out of here and make it to where we can kind of see everything. Now, in the top view, I want to center this up on the building, which you should be able to visualize that pretty easy if you're snapping to units of 16. In fact, you should be able to really increase your snap grid and still get it right to dead center if you really wanted to. In one of the side views, either front or side, it doesn't really matter, line your red builder brush up with one of the floors. Do not be surprised if you have to snap it to the grid in order to pull this
And
off.
how do you snap it once again, Zach?
Right-click on one of the vertices, Nelson, and that will snap it right to the grid. Now, once it's in there, we can come in and just kind of look up through, and we'll hit Control-S to subtract, and that just punches a hole. Next, take your red builder brush, move it up to the next floor. Once again, press Control-S, and that'll punch in another hole.
Oh, look at that.
That's it. That's all there is to it. Very easy.
Cut some holes out. Hands up. Go.
And I'll go ahead and pause while everybody sort of catches up with that, but that should be a really quick thing.
You guys are getting good with this hand stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa, that could have came out wrong.
Yeah, I know.
And for those of you that are having to leave out, you have to go to work. Good night, and
Yes.
thank you for joining us today.
We totally understand. Have
yeah,
a good
absolutely.
rest of your day, night, whatever part of the world you're in. Is it true that BSP shouldn't overlap? You know, it's good practice to make sure that everything kind of snaps edge to edge, but it's not the end of the world
It's not
because
the end of the world, but for optimization standpoints and all, yeah, I would really avoid doing that. That old school, all the splicing and all that ends up taking place when it all gets built out. Besides, to be dead honest, you should be using very little BSP
Right.
nowadays.
Really, the biggest reason we're using it here is just for simplicity's sake. It's good practice to make sure that it butts up, but remember that these brushes are just a definition from which the actual geometry is going to be created anyway. So a little bit of overlap isn't going to kill anything.
See you at school tonight, Captain. Well, school will be in the C# class. But yeah, the static meshes, that's the way to go. It's been the way to go for quite some time.
All right, so I'm thinking we're pretty much good enough to go.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so we are back, and our next thing is going to be to add the main doors. So I'm going to go back over to my brush builder cube and punch out some more values.
Which way's north and which way's south?
I think so. You know, and if I mess it up, then I just it's fine. I mean, usually when I say north, south, east, west, I'm saying that relative to the top view. So if I mess this up and I build north in the wrong direction, that's just build something. I'm building something. I would if you let me. All right, so main doors are going to be 512. Point. By, and I'm sure I'm actually building this in the wrong axis, but that's okay. By 16 by 256. Yep, and that means I've just got to rotate it, because I want these doors to be facing north and south. That's okay. We'll just come over here and grab the red builder brush.
Yeah.
And rotate that around.
Yeah. Now, what your sizes are, just looking up there at the,
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I take the...
It's because I hit spacebar.
I know.
That's all it was. So now look what you made me do. So just rotate that in. Now we want that to align with the wall, so of course, same as before. We need to right-click on one of its vertices. Now it lines up in top view, and that looks pretty good. But we need to line it up here as well. Now, the north entrance is actually going to be like the upper story. At least I think it is. It is for this version. So all I'm going to do is flush the bottom of the door with the very top of the actual floor, which makes sense. Once those are lined up, and we'll just kind of rotate it around so we can see what happens here in perspective, just hit Control-S, and there you go. You have a door.
Iron Soul, come on! Okay, Wes said, what's that size for the door again?
That is, let me go ahead and just bring this
Major
up.
Manic's showing you up, man.
Now, if you didn't want to have to rotate this would actually be 256 by, I'm sorry, hang on. This would be, what is this? 256 by 512 by 16. He doesn't know. No, I really don't.
Just rotate it.
Jeez, yeah, just rotate it. So 16 by 512. There we go. That would do it. Mwah. So that means you wouldn't have to rotate it. But I just rotate it, because, yeah, I'm terrible at these axis games. Okay, so now, let's take our red builder brush, and in the side view, I'm just going to move it down here to the lower left-hand side. So basically, if you were to look at the top view, that's south and on the bottommost floor. So if I fly the perspective down, you can see where this is going to be. I'll make sure it's flush with the floor, and hit Control-S again. And now we have a way to get in at the top floor, and a way to exit at the bottom.
Okay. So let's go ahead and hit pause real quick. Hands up. All right, look at that. You guys are starting
Could
to
you
get
zoom
it.
out on your top view?
Zoom out on the top view. I can do that. It's pretty boring, but I mean, I can do it.
Oh, there we go. Thanks.
Robert said, what did I miss? Lots of stuff.
I don't know what you missed.
I mean, if you just see, you just asked this.
We cloned the dinosaurs.
Zach just zoomed out.
Yeah. But then we had a breakout of velociraptors. And there was this guy who got killed. He said clever girl right before he died. And then there was a T-Rex. I don't remember much else.
Yeah, wasn't that Star Wars?
It was.
That's what I thought. The lead character was Indiana Jones.
Yes.
That's the one.
Dude, Indiana Jones just walk up and punch a velociraptor.
I mean, if he could get in a refrigerator and be like shot a mile and just walk out and kind of dust himself off. Yeah.
He'd whip out his revolver, and his six-shooter revolver, and he'd shoot the T-Rex 37 times.
If that doesn't work, he'd just pull out his lightsaber.
That's right. This may smell bad, kid, but it'll keep you warm. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready to move on.
Yep. Good job with the hands, guys.
Yes, please keep your hands moving. Or however that
Very
works.
good job. All right, so let's hit resume.
Okay, so resuming.
Wait. Just wait. That was close. All right. For those of you that are following along, if you start to get stressed because you may have missed a number or, oh gosh, it's going along too fast or whatever, remember, just cut a door anywhere. Just kind of, you can kind of halfway follow along if you have to. There's no reason that you should just be staring at the screen. Get in there and have a little bit of fun. Just, Zach put in 2 doors, so you put in 1 door, so the measurements are off. Well, make sure the door actually leads through the wall. Some simple stuff.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Really, there's no wrong answers here. This is all just for practice anyway. Okay, so we're back, and now we have doors in. The next thing I want to add in are the elevator shafts, and these have some measurements as well. The measurements are going to look really funny, but it's only because we're going to take the holes in between each floor, and we're going to add some static meshes around the inside, so we're automatically making the sizes wide enough to accommodate something to kind of line the edges. The reason I say that is that, generally speaking, I don't like seeing edges like this if I can avoid them. I will cover up door frames like this with some sort of static mesh to make them look nicer. So I'm just kind of making sure that my size will already accommodate that. That's all that's going to be going on here. So the size we're going to use is 272 by 288, if tab would work. And I will tab and not caps lock because I'm terrible at that. By 288 by 16. And it's still divisible by 16. It's just kind of not the standard of what we've been doing. Now, let's kind of focus on where we are real quick. If we were entering from, say, the top, we want the player to come in and cross the room, and then we want the elevator to be at the back. So we're going to make a hole in the top floor at the back. So we'll go ahead and just fly the red builder brush up here to where we need it, and across the other side of the room. We'll right-click to snap it, and I'm just going to put it right up against the wall. Notice it's going right to the floor.
Look down there in the lower left, this perspective view. Pointed out over there? Yeah, see how it's in the back, right, where he pointed it out to be earlier when he was giving an example of where your character was going to walk around from. All right, let's cut that out.
So we'll just hit Control-S and chop that out, and there we go. Now, we don't need a hole directly beneath this. Our elevator's really going to go from one floor to the next, and that's all. But we do need a hole in the floor on the opposite side. So what I'm going to do is just move my brush over here to the opposite side, like so. And I'll rotate around so you can see where that's going to be. And hit Control-S again. So if one starts at the top, basically you cross the room, you can go down the elevator, you can cross the room again, go back down the elevator, and you're out.
Nice flow.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work.
With that, hands up. Pause button. All right. Yeah. Wow, look at you guys are getting awesome with that. I don't even get the whole sentence out. It's like hands. Boom. It's just really sweet. All right.
All right.
Yeah, we'll give people a give them a minute to get those 2 things cut out. BSP doesn't have much more to go.
Nah. I could make it take a lot longer, but I'm not gonna.
Nah, just a little bit. I mean, we're almost there. Gonna need some sleep. Take care.
Yeah, if you gotta sleep, go sleep. I totally understand. I think we're pretty much good.
All right, let's do it. On pause.
Okay, so we're back. The next thing I want to do is create a little. This is preemptive. This may be the kind of thing that you don't know you're going to need until later on, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to make a little recession in the floor that an elevator plate can kind of slide into.
Okay.
Now, I've got measurements for these. These are a lot easier. These are just 256 by 256, and not by 16, by 8, half the distance, right? And we do need to snap that to the grid, and you'll notice it only goes halfway through the floor. And these just need to go directly underneath each one of the elevator holes. So if we, here we're kind of at the second floor, we're just going to drag this all the way down to the ground floor. And you can see in the side view how that's going to work. You'll also notice it's a little bit smaller. It fits inside. 256 by 256 is actually going to be the size of the elevator plate itself. So once we've got that, we can, let me show you what this is going to look like. We'll hit Control-S, and it just makes a little tiny recessed area. Perfect. Then we'll come up to the second floor, like so, and we'll do kind of the same thing, directly underneath the other elevator shaft, and I'll fly over here so you can watch and see what this is going to end up looking like. We'll hit Control-S again, and there you go. That's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause one more time while everybody gets that. Again, use your hands. And people are starting to get faster, I noticed.
There they are.
which is really good. And if you feel like you're falling behind and you just want to observe, that's totally cool. Remember, we're going to be putting this up for download, so you can just grab the video and follow along at any speed you like. Because the great thing about a video is you can just pause me, or mute me, and just go on from there. Yes, I will be using well, technically I'll be using a mesh for the elevator plate. It technically won't be a static mesh, because a static mesh won't move. Because it is static. But you're on the right track. Yeah, we're not going to be using a piece of BSB here.
Remember, put those hands down once you get the recessions cut in.
And I think we're just about where
We're just about there. One more hand down. Oh, there we go. We got it.
That's good. Okay, so we're back, and we've got our little recessions in the floor. The next thing I want to create is going to be the doors for the balcony. Now, on the second story, here's how we kind of have to visualize this. Let me actually start at the top. So we have our landing bay. We just get here. Hey, welcome everybody. New place, haven't been before. And then we go downstairs, down the elevator or whatever. We'll talk about stairs in a moment, actually. And then we can get on the lift and go down to the ground floor. Or we want the ability to go outside, right here on the second floor. So you can see, like, down here, this is where all the plants and everything are going to be. We want a nice little balcony that we can walk out to and kind of shout down at everyone and say, hey, get off my lawn, that sort of stuff. So to do this, we're going to do, let's do, come here, 256 by 16 by 256. And I'll have to rotate that, but that's the story of my life. I never guess right when I do that. So boom, there we go. Now, the trick here is just remembering which wall you need to do this to. Remember, we want to put this on the same wall as the lower door. That's how you know. Now, in this case, that's the southern wall. And because it's 256, it's going to fit pretty nicely. If I right-click on one of the vertices to snap it to the grid, it'll fit pretty nicely in between the shaft for the elevator and the far wall. You'll notice you have some major grid lines. You can fit it right in between. Use those to your advantage. We will also flush this with the floor, like so. And you can see here in perspective where that's going to turn up. So go ahead and hit Control-S. Slide this over to the other side. And you can see where that is. I'll kind of pull back a little bit and hit Control-S. And there we go. Now, I'm not going to pause just yet. We have some other things I want to get out of the way first. We need some doors for the stairway. I don't want everybody to be completely dependent on lifts, because then if there's a fire, everybody's going to die. So what we're going to have is a series of stairways that we can walk down. The way I want the flow to happen is you come in through the main door at the top floor, and walk all the way to the end, hang a left, and there should be a door to a stairway. To make that happen, I'm going to come over here to the top view, and we need to take our builder brush and rotate it 90 degrees again. We don't have to rebuild it. 256 by 256 is a great door size. We'll put that to good use. So we'll move this to the north end, and I think I just flushed it right up in the walls pretty easily. And up other side, haha. I'll move it in perspective. We'll put it, okay, south end here. Is that right? Let me make sure it's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, it should be right below me now. Haha, I got this whole 3D space thing licked. Don't worry about me. Now I'm going to just move this up and flush it out with the floor. Fantastic, you can see it right there. And we'll hit Control-S. And the sun comes in. I love that. That makes me happy. Okay, so now the idea would be you'd go out this and fall to your death. No, we want to go down some stairs down to the next floor. So to make that happen, let me come over here to the side view. We can just move this guy to the opposite end. And just flush him up with the floor and right in between the wall, like so. And I'll back out here so you can see that. Hit Control-S. So you'd walk from one door downstairs to the other door. Then once you did that, so you go down the stairs, you come back in this door, now you're going to wrap around. Walk over here, there should be another door to another landing for some stairs. Well, that's easy. Here in the side view, just slide your builder brush over, hit Control-S again. Then you want to be able to go out this door and down to the bottom floor. No problem. We'll go all the way down, like so, stuff this into the corner, Make sure it's all nice and flush with the wall and the floor. Back up and hit Control S one last time. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back in the side view so you can see the kind of pattern that shows up there. I'll pull back in perspective as well so you can see kind of how that works. And what we're going to do in a moment is connect these with some stairways, but for now I want to pause and I want people to use your hands and catch up to this point. Yeah, that'll take an extra second because we did more than just a couple of little subtractions. And if you're having a rough time with all of the baking, please don't bake lights right now. Just build geometry. You don't need to worry about lighting right now. Because remember, we deleted our light mass importance volume really early on. I told you that was important. Without that, our light building is going to take a whole lot longer than it needs to. So I don't even want you to build lights right now. Just don't do it. Somebody said, how do I delete geometry? You should be able to select the brush in one of your orthographic views, and when it's selected, it'll be highlighted, so you'll know that you have it selected. I like a soul. And you can just hit the delete key, and that should make it go away. You will have to you'll have to rebuild for that change to take place.
See ya, Mo, or Moa. How would you pronounce that?
I'd say Moa.
Moa. Have a good one, Moa.
Okay, I think we're guys. Keep your hands updated. So if you're done,
keep your hands updated.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Oh, like we're good to go.
All right, let's
move on. I know.
Resume.
So we'll see a little bump. That's okay. Okay, we are back. And everybody has. You should have these little holes set up. Now, the next thing we need, though, before we can have stairways, are some landings. Now, we could build these landings out of static meshes. There's nothing saying we can't, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna build these out of BSP as well. So let's do 256 by 256 by 16. And that'll give us a nice flat builder brush.
And obviously, if we were building this level for real, for production gain, it would be out of static meshes.
Just about everything would be static meshes. The wall, floors, and everything.
I just want to point that out.
Somebody said, are there advantages to doing this in UDK and not in a 3D app like Modo or Max? Generally, you'd want to do it in a 3D app such as Modo or Max because it's more efficient. You can rely more on your video card to generate the geometry. However, you don't always have Modo and Max, and this is really fast. There's nothing wrong with using BSP to prototype out your level and then steadily start replacing all these brushes with static meshes as you go on.
It's very common.
All right, so now we've got this in place. Let's come over and just slide this right in front of where we want our landing to be. So I'll just flush it up on the floor, right-click to snap it into place, and in the top view, make sure that it hangs out and is flush with the wall, just like that. And you can see where this is going to be, like so. We'll hit Control-A to add that. Then, just to kind of speed things up, I'll just slide this straight up and flush it with the floor, and back up so you can see what this is going to do, and hit Control-A. Then we'll slide it over and flush it with the far wall, and hit Control-A. And then move up one more time and hit Control-A, and there we go. So now we have landings. Cool thing is, if we wanted to, we could actually come over here and hit play in a view.
Woo, we can walk outside.
We can walk outside. And I don't. Can I make that?
Down to the kill.
Oh, I made it. I made it.
I am so impressed.
All right, but we don't necessarily want to keep it that way. So we could use, say, geometry mode to manipulate some vertices around and give us, some ramps to use in lieu of stairs. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We're not going to do that. No. We're actually going to bring in some static meshes. So to do this, actually, here's what I want. I want to go ahead and pause the video real quick, and I want everybody to have these landings in place before we go any further forward. So here's a quick pause.
You guys are getting awesome. I kid you not with the hands. Yeah. It's like I'm going to hit pause. Wow, didn't even have to mention it.
Yeah, get these landings in place because when we add static meshes, it'll just be easier if they're already there.
Nelson, are you following along okay?
Yeah.
Which means not really.
No, it's just I'm not used to moving around in 3D apps because I don't.
I understand.
You're a developer.
You can do all of your work in the 2D orthogonal views if you want.
Well, yeah, but there's the same. I mean, just the. Yeah, I think some things aren't lined up, and I think my landings are on the completely wrong side of the building. So
Hey, you'll know because there won't be any doors.
Oh no, I line them up with the doors. If my
Oh, nah, that's okay. 6 of 1, really. I mean, if you're north and south or reversed, it won't matter. Can you repeat the delete step one more time, please? Sure. Over in the orthogonal view, just select any brush you want to nuke. It can be an additive brush, a subtractive brush. It doesn't matter. And just hit delete, and it will go away. Though, when you're done, you should rebuild geometry so you can see the result.
Yeah, that's probably what he's thinking. Why is it still there?
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, here in the perspective view, you're not really looking at those brushes. You're looking at the result of that geometry calculation.
You excited about class tonight, Nelson?
Yeah, it should be fun.
It's always fun.
Are we going? How much are we going to be talking about the things that we talked about in Monday's class?
Oh yeah, because Monday's class we gave them a good bit of extra stuff.
All right, I think we're pretty much ready to go on, guys.
Yeah, all of it. Here we go, Nelson.
All right, yeah, we're going back. Okay, we are back. And now what I want you to do to create these stairs is open up the content browser. Now, without getting into a big, long thing about all of the interface of the content browser, I'm going to try to keep this very simple. First off, down under Packages, make sure you have UDK Games selected. If you don't, you won't be able to find anything. Second, make sure you clear your filter. So if this is orange up here in your big filter area, if you see any orange whatsoever, click the clear button to wipe that out. Next, type stair and see what you get. If you scroll down, you'll have all kinds of static mesh stairs you can choose from. The one I want to pick on is S_HU_floors_SM_fire_escape_other stuff. So fire escape stairs. That's what we want. Now with that selected, I'm gonna slide the content browser off the screen. Is there a safe place like? Yeah, that's pretty safe. We can put that right over there. And I'll go down here to the bottommost floor. And if I right-click, I have the ability to add this static mesh like so. Or I can just hit the S key and click. Now, if you hit S and you flew away, basically if you hit S and this happened, then what you need to do is make sure under Preferences, you set your flight camera controls to use WASD only when right mouse button is held. That's going to be the primary difference. All right, once we have these in place, let's spin them around. So I'll tap spacebar to grab my rotate tool and rotate them 180 degrees. And then I'm going to move them so that they're butted right up against the edge. And I want you to see exactly how I'm going to do this. So that topmost edge is flush with the floor. And what I want to do is pause one more time while everybody gets that, okay? Also, double check from the top. Make sure they're flush in this direction, too. At 256, this should fit in here exactly. So I'm just going to pause while everybody catches up. Please update your hands accordingly. So, yeah. And folks are pretty much getting there. Cool. I think that's close enough. All right, so we're back. This next part is really easy and really repetitive. Hold down the Alt key. If you hold down the Alt key and you move this stairway, you're going to create a copy of it. Now, because you're snapping to 16 grid units, it's real easy to snap these together. So what I want you to do is continue doing this all the way up to the other landing. Please be aware, you will have to release and re-press the Alt key each time you want to make a new copy.
You could also grab multiples.
Yeah, so I could grab, say, all 3 of these guys, hold down Alt, and move them all at the same time. And for this last one, I guess I only need one.
Yeah. And if you did it just right, look at that. It lines up perfectly.
Actually, I need to move everything up by like one little baby. Actually, that'll work. Yeah, it does line up perfectly. What am I saying? Now, that's enough to get you between 2 landings. Now watch this. Hold down Control and select multiples. If I didn't mention that earlier, that's how you do it. You hold down Control and click on a whole bunch of meshes. Grab everybody. hold down Alt, and I want to move these up. But I want the camera to move while I move them, so I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift together, and
Very important. Alt and Shift together.
and Shift together, and just slide that up to the next landing. And you'll notice I now have stairs running between everything. Pretty. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and I want everybody to catch up. Hands! Do the hand thing. Hand jive.
There we go. Look at the hands. Look at the hands.
Look at them go.
Jazz hands. That's right. Flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people seem a little confused with their hands right now. What do I do with my hand? Lots of flickering going on.
Gennaro says, I just finished installing UDK. Can I catch up?
Yeah, but you gotta be fast. Fly. You gotta be really fast.
Just make a box and cut a door out of it and be like, okay, good enough. It doesn't have to be the exact level. That's why I was saying, if you feel like you're falling behind.
Oh, somebody has said, can you tell the viewers that the dinosaur in view is just fog? It is. The dinosaur you keep seeing is an actor or a placeable thing in the level that is just creating fog.
Oh man, you mean he's not a hidden thing? So like if you step on the right platform, that thing comes to life and a giant dinosaur comes out and attacks you?
Yeah, you too.
That'd be awesome.
Broke my stairs.
How'd you break your stairs, Nelson?
You fail, Nelson.
They don't line up to the thingy.
I think you broke your platform.
Yeah.
Because the stairs are static.
Dave said, why is it a dinosaur? Because it's not a winged apple. They use that for something else.
That's actually very true.
Yeah, it's just whatever they decided the icon should be. They get a little out there sometimes.
Yes, Skiz, we're going to be going over some landscape stuff here shortly.
Yeah, here in just a moment.
It's coming up
All
fast.
right, I think we can kind of go. We're gonna have to kind of push it a little bit.
Push it!
Okay, so we're back, and we've got our static meshes in. The last thing I want to do that'll pretty much close up the BSP portion of what we're working on is I want to extend our building a little bit to encompass our stairway. So we don't want this to just kind of go on indefinitely forever. The way I'm going to do this is just use geometry mode and stretch a few things out. Specifically, we're going to stretch out the floor of this landing so it reaches all the way across. And we're going to stretch out the walls. I'm going to leave the ceiling open so we can actually see the sky from out here. So let's go over to the top view, and this will be the easiest way to do this. We'll start with the north wall. I'm going to select the north wall, and let's go into geometry mode. Like so. Once again, hold down Control and Alt and draw out a marquee selection box around those vertices. Now these vertices, I'm going to drag one unit out past the end of the landing. Again, I want everything to fit together and be all nice and flush. And we can go right back to camera mode just to be safe and not accidentally bump something. You can also just hold down Control and click on the individual vertices. Unreal is usually pretty good about automatically selecting a vertex that's directly underneath the one on top. But just to be safe, I like doing the Control-Alt, drag out a marquee selection box. It just feels safer to me. Now, this time let's do the south wall. So we'll click the south wall. Once again, go into geometry mode. Control-Alt, drag out a box, and we'll slide this out so it's just flush with the landing, not going all the way one past like we did last time. And immediately switch back to camera mode so we don't accidentally bump something. Next, the bottommost landing we're going to extend all the way across. So to select that, we can come over here to where that landing is located, and click on it. Of course, you can use your perspective view to make sure that's the one you have selected. And here in the side view, again, we'll go back to geometry mode. I guess I don't really need the brush builder cube window anymore. I'll go ahead and kill that. I'll hold down Control and Alt, and we'll grab these vertices here at the leading edge, and we'll drag these all the way across. Now, we'll have to move my view a couple of times to get all the way over there. And we're just going to flush these with the inside of the wall. And go back to camera mode. Now you won't see the result of these just yet. To see the result of all of that geometry mode action, you're going to have to tap the Build Geometry button. Don't worry about any errors you're seeing at this point. They don't mean anything. And there we go. The walls have been extended. Last thing. We're going to take our big wall here on the inside. So this is going to be our... No, it's actually not the floor. We actually want the eastern wall. And if I go over to wireframe view, you can kind of see which one that is. And we're going to duplicate that out. So I'm just going to hold down Alt and drag this over and just butt it right up against my other walls. You can see the duplication has actually taken place, but we're going to have to rebuild. So here's what it looks like prior to rebuilding. All butted up and nice and clean, and when I hit Build Geometry, we get a solid wall. However, now if we go inside and hit play, we have a nice and closed stairway. Exactly. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I want people to catch up.
Pause.
Do it. Right here. These mics feel so amazing on your head.
Oh, I know. Hang on. Where's my phone camera? Let's get you looking all serious. I'll get a picture of Phil up on Facebook of Zach teaching UDK.
Oh, do I have to pretend like I'm doing something?
Yeah, here, look back over here. So everybody will remember this moment. A little bit more. Twist ahead. Work the camera there. Perfect. Yep. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. How long does this webinar go on for? Until it's done. But by all means, if it's taking too long, jump out and grab the videos later.
My mouse is stuck. Hey, Enrico.
Yeah, hit Alt-Tab. It's just a bug-happy thing that they put into UDK to make people happy.
We're more interested in teaching people as opposed to watching the clock and jumping out. Take care, Finn. See you, man. Good night.
Okay, but it looks like most everybody is caught up, so I think we can move on to the next bit, which... Should go ahead and start. Okay, so for our next trick, as it were, I want to create a temporary surface for our terrain. We're going to be replacing it in short order. It's just if you wanted to be able to walk around and kind of test the overall feel of the scale of this level, you need something to walk around on. So I'm going to right-click on my cube brush builder, and we're going to do 4096 by 4096 by 16. We'll build and close that. And we can see that at the top view. Make sure you have the red builder brush selected. We'll center that up on the building. In fact, I should probably go ahead and set my snaps up to something pretty high, like 64. It'll just make things a lot easier to move around. And I'll right-click to snap that to the grid. Now, the trick is to make sure that you put the brush on the right side of the building. So let's see. Did I get it right, or did I get it exactly wrong? Nope, I was right. We just need to take this and slide it down so it's flush with the ground. And I won't be able to do that unless I lower my snaps again, so we'll set those back down to 16. Remember to use those snaps. You can adjust them, and adjusting them is really a pretty good practice to get into. And I'll hit Control-A to add that. So it just adds a great big platform out in front of everything. Now, we can just move this builder brush over to the opposite side, like so. Right-click, snap, hit Control-A, and there we go. So now if you wanted to play with this and test things out, you've at least got something you can run around on. The dimensions are 4096 by 4096 by 16. And I'm just going to pause briefly while people catch up with that. But that should be a really fast thing.
I'm going to post, he looks mad.
Yeah, I guess I do. Somebody said, can you zoom out a little on the top and the side? Yeah, sure. And this is pretty much what you can get. And then if you want to see it kind of in perspective, there you go. All right. And I think we're good enough to go ahead and proceed from here. Okay, so we are back, and we are pretty much done with our BSP. So if you've made it this far, congratulations, woohoo, and all that jazz. The next thing we're going to do is add some materials onto the surfaces of our level. Now, the order in which you do this workflow that we're showing you, you can kind of do this in various different orders if you want to. Some folks will go ahead and start adding in a few static meshes at this point. I just want to look at something other than this blue and white checkerboard. Unless you really like this blue and white checkerboard, then I guess it's up to you to leave it. Texturing is a pretty easy thing. All we're going to do is find some appropriate materials here inside our content browser and slap those on the surfaces of our level. I'm going to show you a few tricks to speed the process up. First off, let's find an appropriate material. First, let's clear out the filter here inside the content browser. I'll go ahead and filter it down to materials by clicking the material checkbox, and then we'll just say floor into the search line. And you get some materials that are already set up specifically for floors. Now, I don't really care which one you use, so by all means, pick one that appeals to you. I'm going to grab this MLT Floors BSP Organic 05B Tiled Break. What a great long name to click. Just select that, and I'll move my content browser off to the side for just a moment. Now, to apply this, there's a couple of different ways you can apply it. One, you can just select a surface, right-click, and choose Apply Material. That's one way to do it. You can also hold down the Alt key and left-click, which is pretty cool. But there's a catch to using either one of these. Anytime you run into a surface that belongs to a separate brush, the texture placement is actually going to stop. So what we're going to do to kind of fix that is I'm going to select the topmost floor, and I don't want that. So if you double-click, you'll get the surface properties window. We don't want the surface properties window. We're just going to close that. We're going to select this once and right-click, and you have some very useful select surfaces options here, along with associated hotkeys. I don't just want to slam out the hotkeys. I'd rather you see this great big list of stuff you can do. One that's pretty handy for our purposes is adjacent coplanars. Basically, any surface that is on the same plane as the one we have selected and is touching the one we have selected. And you'll notice that gets all of the floors on this level. So then we can just right-click and apply our material. And it applies to everybody. Now there's one last little catch. And that is that the texture isn't tiling perfectly. Now I'm going to show this once, but just for speed's sake, I'm not going to do it for every single surface in our level. I do want you to see how to do it, though. If you wanted to clean this up, you could double-click on your surface. And once again, it'd be a good idea to reselect all of your adjacent coplanars. So we'll just right-click, select surfaces, adjacent coplanars, also Shift-C if you want to. Then we're not going to go into all of the different buttons, knobs, and switches and dials in this window. What I want you to do is look down here in the alignment group, check planar, and click Apply. And it makes one great big mapping that stretches across all of these surfaces, and you'll notice it fixes the tiling issue. Now, in this window, you can also change the panning. You can slide the texture around, so I can slide it in U. I can slide it in V. If I hold down Shift and click, it'll go back to where it was. I can change rotation. I can adjust scaling. We're not going to get into all that, but I do want to point out that you can do it here. So if you wanted all of your tiles to be at like 45 degrees, you can do that just by clicking on your 45-degree button. And let me set that closer to where it was. All right. So there is just making one nice planar map so everybody looks nice. Now, real quick, we'll autosave, thank you. We'll grab this one surface, hit Shift-C to grab all of our adjacent coplanars. I'll go ahead and apply my material, and one last time, just to make sure everybody got to see that, I'll hit F5. This is the shortcut for opening up the surface properties window. And over here in alignment, we'll just click planar, apply, and that just makes sure everybody's nice and seamless. At this point, I'm going to assume that you got that. So click, Shift-C, right-click, and apply material. Now that's not getting the outdoor area. Do not stress that. We're going to be getting rid of that shortly anyway. That's just kind of there to make you happy to have something to test with. Now there's all of the floors, but we still have little areas around the edges we need to grab. We can, of course, just Alt-left-click on all these little guys here and fill those in. So we're going to take just a moment and make sure that we get all of these. Don't worry about the walls yet, just these little inner surfaces. You have other things you can do here as well to kind of speed things up. You can right-click and say Select Surfaces Matching this brush. And that will speed you up a little. So now you can just right-click and apply. Same thing here. That would be Shift-B. Now, I don't really need that guy, so I'll just Control-click that. Right-click and apply. So if you're following along, now would be a good time to go ahead and just kind of start popping these in while I kind of wrap everything up. I'm going to get the edges of the landings real quick. And if we want to get the roof just so we don't accidentally run into it later, we can do that as well. All right. So I think that's looking pretty good. Next, we're going to grab some material to apply to the walls. Again, there is no right or wrong for which of these you use, so just take your search line and set it to wall. And let's scroll through here. And we've got NEC Walls BSP Concrete. That's great. It's just a basic concrete. And I'm just going to Alt-click and just start placing this on all the walls. Be sure you double-check like the trim around the doors, because it's easy to overlook that. And we get the outside too. Now, once again, I'm just assuming that you guys remember how to align those textures if you really want to, but I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over, so we're not going to stress that. What am I missing?
Right there. Couple.
If you're having a hard time visualizing stuff because of your lighting, be sure you switch over to unlit mode. That can make a lot of things easier on you. And it must have thought I double-clicked. User error, I'm sure. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Now, last couple of things. We need some ceilings. Let me grab these guys real quick. I'm sure I'm going to miss a few here and there.
That's straight down. Oh, got those. Okay.
Yeah, I got those. I think we're pretty much good. And if I miss a few, that's okay. Let's look for ceilings now. Or, okay, let's try roof. There's a couple things we can do. Well, those are kind of outdoor. Another one you can try searching for is base. Base can help you a lot. So if you're looking for something a little different. So there's like this metal panel sort of ceiling. So we just apply that. And I think that'll do. Again, I'm not too worried about the outside or the underside, but we can do that too. Does it matter to cover the null material even if you're going to be placing static meshes that will cover things up anyway? If you are 100% confident that nobody's ever going to see the null material, then sure. But you know, just in case, and there's all kinds of just in case factors. Maybe like the level is in the middle of loading, or there's some sort of an error. If you don't want people to ever see that that null material, you could have some sort of simple material in there to get that. Now, if you check this out, I didn't do the stairways at all. I'll show you a quick little shortcut. Alt right-click to copy a material. Alt left-click to paste in what you copied. And get you as well.
Take it easy, Ahmad. Have a good one.
Yep.
And autosave is...
Yeah, I should tell your views to save their work, or viewers to save their work. Yeah, I'm using autosave and relying on it kind of heavily, but by all means, do occasionally go to File and save your current level at some point. It's just going to be a good idea.
Though to be dead honest, basic understanding of working with a computer was assumed. We hope people understand to save their stuff.
Yeah, Unreal Ed, like a lot of applications, will crash from time to time.
Unreal Ed, unlike a lot of applications, will
UDK.
crash, or UDK, excuse me, will crash more often
than a lot of things I use. So, the last one I'm going to go back to floors, and this is just kind of a personal preference thing. I know there's this BSP Great Pipes material. And I'm going to use this on these little recessions here. So I'll just hit Shift-B, right-click, and apply material. Shift-B, right-click, apply material. Okay, so I think for all intents and purposes, that's going to do it for placing our materials throughout our BSP. So what I'm going to do is pause, and I want people to catch up at this point.
Okay. And then after this... Which thing are we tackling next?
Well, after this, we kind of need to do a basic mover setup.
Okay.
And we're not quite to... we can do the basic lifts, and then we can do terrain.
I wonder...
This would be a good point to break up the video.
Yeah, when we come back.
We can just do that and then just let everybody catch up and take a very short break.
Perfect. So let's unpause and say that.
All right, we are back, and what we're going to do is go ahead and end this particular video right here with our BSP in place and our materials in place. When we get back, we're going to take a look at adding in some moving objects, setting up some terrains, as well as the other things we need to start fleshing out our level. But
so for those of you that are with us in the live class, it's time for a break. But we're not ending. Don't worry, we still have a ways to go.
And yeah, I meant that, some terrains. We're going to actually have more than one. Maybe one on the north and one on the south. They'll be separate panels.
You got it, Mage Manic. Time to stop and save the video. Yeah.
Landscape.